Hi, today we are going to talk about those little modules coming from China. They are not expensive, but they provide a very good purpose for your build and other stuff because they provide to you for a very low price to charge your battery cells. But those kind of little modules permits only to charge one cell in one time. So this generation of old module was able to charge one cell, but there is now a new generation of those kind of module. They use Type C connector and integrated BMS. This integrated BMS permits to you to give your battery in good health because you know if you pull too much current from your battery and if you go low about a certain voltage, which is about 2.5 volt, sometimes more, sometimes less, you can damage severely your batteries. And also, if you have a higher voltage on your battery, you have a disconnection, the module here is able to protect your battery against lower discharge and too much height charge of your battery, which cause absolutely the demise of this one. So for the case you need a charger for one cell, this one is absolutely perfect, and this is what I made here for my recorder. So this is a Zoom H5, and he's recording me now. And if you see on the back, there is a very big battery, and there is a charging module, and it works very nice. I made this because this device is very greedy about batteries, and I prefer simply make but a very big lithium-ion battery. This is a battery coming from 8 power batteries coming from some devices like RCK. I'm not sure, but this is a very huge battery inside, about maybe 8 or 9 amp hour, and it perfectly do the job. And it's made with this kind of lithium module, which indicates a red light for charging and blue light when it's done. So you can see those kind of device can give you a very nice advantage in case of if you don't want to spend many money on the battery, etc. So aside from that, what I want to talk about here is because I have a special request about some people asking me how to charge a 4-cell battery in the same time. Okay, I talk sometimes about some buck boost converter like this, and those buck converter are very nice, but they are not protected against overcurrent. Overcurrent is something very dangerous, not especially for your batteries, but you can cause fire with this kind of stuff. You may be very cautious with this because sometimes when you think to do it right, this is not the case. Actually, if you use those kind of modules and you want to charge a battery, that's possible, but you need to add some resistor. I don't know exactly the good value of the resistor you need, because you need to protect your circuit against overcurrent. Overcurrent is going to kill your circuit and to make you unsafe. It's very dangerous. But if you want something very more secure, and because the engineer coming from AliExpress work night and day for this kind of stuff, and this is the stuff you need to charge the maximal of 4 cell. The 4 cell are written on the back of the CPCB, as you can see here. This model here I have on my fingers are for 3 cell. I ordered this because I have special need of those kind of charger, because I need a handled power supply for my work, etc. And you have many models of this. You have 1 amp drawn current, because they have a different current inside for the supplying. Okay, if you use this plug to charge on the output, this current right in here is the current on the input, not on the output, okay? This is right in here. The output current is not indicated, but the input current is right in here. You have here, this module is about 1 amp in entry and working with 3 cells. If you want to charge 4 cells, you absolutely need, in this case, you absolutely need the 4S module, as you can see here. Or if you don't have this module, you can use the boost converter. The boost converter, it's very easy to use. You just have to power this module here with a sufficient voltage. You need to know that lower is the voltage, higher will be the current on entry, and those little boost converter are a little bit tricky because sometimes where they are connected, there are some difficulties to start, and when they have this difficulty to start, they make a short circuit. The circuitry of this kind of device is not absolutely resulted, so you need to be very cautious. So we are going to see here if it's possible to charge this kind of battery here with this kind of module. And of course, what we need in the output is to make a little current limitation. I don't know exactly the value of this one because you need to be cautious, and you need in the same time to make it working correctly according if you want slow charge or quick charge. So, okay, the main thing is to know if you want to charge many cells in the same time. Those devices are very resulted and very clean to work with, and I've already made some working device with it, and it's very nice. But there is a very, very important thing. Your battery, which you want to charge, need to be protected with a BMS. In case you use a 3 cell like this one, you absolutely need on your cells some BMS like this. This BMS has many functions. Those functions are to protect the battery against over discharge. The purpose of this BMS is to protect your battery against over voltage and also against short circuit. So if you look on the back of this lithium module here, you can see the connection for your cell. The connection for your cell is very easy. This module are made for working with a 3 cell batteries. This is the reason you can see here 12 volts here. 12 volts are for 3 cell because 3 cell made exactly 12.6 volts. So when you make your battery in series, you have the negative point. In this case, you will have 0 volt. And the first cell need to be connected to this point. This is the first cell contact. And you have the second cell here, 8.4, and you will have the third cell. And of course, for 4 cell battery management, you need another point like this with 60 volt, 16 volts, okay? So you need absolutely for your cell something like that. This is in BMS. What can happen if you don't use a BMS on your battery? The problem is, as you can see on this one is sorry, because it's completely crap. This one is a hold cell, and the problem with this one is it has not a protective BMS. So I use it in emergency to provide some power supply. So for it suffered a lot of a little bit. And the problem with this is, if you don't have a BMS and you want to charge a battery like that, you will have discrepancy on each batteries. Sometimes there is a battery charging more than another, and when you use it, you have a battery charging more than another. And without a BMS, if you put your device charging, sometimes what can happen is that you will have a cell with higher voltage than the maximum permitted on this kind of cell. If you exceed 4.2 volts, your cell is going to be destruct. Actually, it will kill absolutely instantaneously. In terms of hours or days, some days, your cell will die if you exceed the voltage of 4.2 volts. This is the reason why you absolutely need those kind of BMS. Okay, those BMS are not for that purpose, because that purpose has sufficiency alive, and this is for a new project, because it was for emergency. I always have it, and for the moment they are always alive. So I don't I don't throw it on the garbage, but we are not far from that. So now my finger is sticky. Sorry for this. So the simple thing here is, for charging a cell, you will have here the generator. Generator is need to have exactly the same voltage than the cell you want to charge. Of course, you need to pass over current reducer, which is a resistor. Actually, we don't know exactly how much is this resistor. It can be about few ohms and some more than that, and it permits to not have a short circuit, because this power supply, if this battery is empty, can react violently, and it can be dangerous. Cells, lithium cells, are not forgiving, and you absolutely need to charge it with a low current. Mostly if your generator has not a current limitation. So let's connect this one and see if it's possible to charge this 20-volt battery with it. So here in the schematic you have how to connect your boost converter to provide a charge of this big battery, which is 20 volt, 21 volt from a drill, power drill. And we are going to see if it's possible to have a maximal current despite this protective resistor here, and the minimal voltage allowed in this case here, if we can use 5 volt, or we are mandatory using another voltage for this entry here. Okay. Okay, in this case you need a 21 volt on output, because this is the maximum voltage for your power dual battery. Okay, this is 21. Okay, for 21. Now here this little module is tweaked for 21 volt. We are going to see if it's able to charge this battery with between 5 and 6 volt entry. Of course, it probably can charge the battery with a higher voltage, but it's more difficult with a lower voltage, because there is a lot of milliamp on the entry, and sometimes it can have some quirk when starting. It's not very absolutely resulted like a special device for this intended job. So we're going to, of course, to make some resistor in serial of the under the output and see it's able to give some good voltage on this battery. Okay. Now this little device is connected, and okay, you will have here a special homemade plug because I didn't want to cut the original cable coming from the charger, and when connecting like this is normally able to charge. So okay, so we are going to put the connection for the entry. Okay, I have one eye on my ammeter, and see, okay, it's working here, but we don't know if we have the good voltage here. It's about 90 milliamp, and see how much voltage we have. Okay, the resistor here is not hitting. Okay, we have about 20 volt, and here we have about not a lot difference. 20. Okay, this battery is charging, and with this 22 ohm resistor, which is a protection, and you can see on the power supply then it draw a very little current. Okay, because actually this battery is not fully empty. Okay, if I put here a little push, you can see a rising current on this ammeter, which is detecting the fluctuation of the current. So this is here a 5 volt, of course. If you want to make it more efficient, you need to put a minimal voltage on it. Okay, and of course the minimal value of this resistor is about something like between 20 and 5 ohm to make sufficient protection between this converter and the battery you need to charge. Okay, as you can see, it's charging now. So okay, now we can see that you can charge this kind of battery about 20 volt here with a 21 volt output coming from this little boost converter, and of course the input is about 5 volt, which is exactly what you can have on this kind of plug here. If you want to charge a 20 volt battery with this kind of plug, you can make it actually with this little boost converter. But of course, don't forget, those kind of converters need to be adjusted to have the good voltage output. You need to put a resistor to protect your circuit, and of course Okay, this is not the perfect idea to make that purpose, but this is a good compromise if you don't have any mean to do it right. Okay, so here we are. So here we have the charging module. If I can find it, I don't know where it is. Okay, the charging module is here. Okay, this is the charging module. The charging module, according the number of the cell you need, it's about 4 cells for the request, and you need to connect this output on a BMS, as you can see here. The BMS is ordered to split the power correctly between each cells. Okay, this is impossible to do without a BMS. On the BMS, there is an output to use the power of the battery, like you can see here. According to the 4-cell battery, it's about 16 volts. And you will have something like that. This is not exactly the same because this one is for 3-cell. And of course, here you can see the battery is connected to the BMS from 0 volt to 4, 8, 12, and 20. And it's a start from the negative and the first positive, and you have the second positive, the third positive, the fourth positive, and you will have an increment of 5 volts, nearly 5 volts each time, which is very simply indicated here in the back of this little BMS. You have the 0 volt, the 4 volt, the 8.4, and the 12.6, which need to be connected incrementally, like you can see here. And of course, if your BMS is about 5 cell, you will have a cell over, and any cell more need a BMS adapted with the number of the total cell you can find on the battery. So this example is right for any BMS you can find. Just some BMS are very difficult to understand because if you see those little BMS, you can see here it's not very clear how to connect some things. Okay. In some BMS, you will have a different entry and different output. This is the case of this one because it has 1 cell. But sometimes the output of the BMS is also the entry for charging. And it's possible you can find just simply a BMS with the same output using the same entry. It's the same case here and not connection here. So it's quite easy, and as you can see here, because you need to know that you have sometimes a different BMS. Some BMS are using only for balancing, and other BMS are made for balancing and overcharge protection and over discharge protection also. But some BMS are just made for balancing between each cell. So this is how you can use the 5 volt boost charger, this one, but not exactly the good model, because this one is about 3 cell. You have to choose between 1 and 2 amp or 3 or 4, sorry. But I think for a little device like this, 4 amp is too much, because just with 2 amp you can have this coil becoming very hot. So I don't even imagine for 4 amps. So okay, so you will have this boost converter here, USB, and provided some voltage on the output of the BMS connected to the right values of cell. And so it's very easy, and You just have to do it like that, and it will be a nice thing for your project. It was Alexander again. See you soon.